Hello, my name is Nelson Air, and I'm here with my friend,
I'm Parish Torch.
and this is Let's Play Mega Man Battle Network 6, Cybeast Gregar. So, we're here to enroll in Miss Anzap's class about electricity. Even though the end of days is here, the weather's real crazy, we're going to take some time out of our lives to hang out underneath the floating sky town, which might fall out of the sky at any point with the weird weather stuff going on, and we're going to take this class. Perfect time to do it.
I mean, no time like the present.
But yeah, she's talking about things that happened in Battle Network 1 here. And she doesn't clue in on Land being like, oh, you're the Count's wife. I'm the reason that you're suffering like this. Meanwhile, Elecman immediately recognizes us. And they're just like, hey, don't talk about how I'm an ex-felon in front of the Count's wife. I'm doing my best here, my man. Anyway, the Elecman scenario is really fun because it answers a question that you've maybe thought about but haven't really known about. The Tomahawk Man version of this is a little bit different, where you just have to prove yourself to, like, I don't know what they're called, like guardian spirits or something. You wander around the area and there are totems, like, hanging out in the ground. And then you talk to them and you get into a battle where Tomahawk Man has to chop them down as they slowly grow out of the ground. And it's just sort of a micromanaging of how well can you sort of manage Tomahawk Man's long time on the swing with all these different, like, you're playing whack-a-mole, essentially. And it's, like, that tests different things, whereas this is a little more fun kind of segment here. But the nice thing about Element Man is he's able to remove clouds, and he's also able to remove water spouts, or his two weird door things I can get rid of. And hey, Spin Blue. I love Spin Blue. I can spin Custom 1 on my Navi Customizer now. Woo! And yeah, a lot of these doors have broken programs or broken net navis behind them that are just repeating compression codes, but I don't remember if the game ever tells you how to perform a compression code, or if you can, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, what it's to. So you just have to kind of figure it out and go from there. Electman's really powerful in battle, so he's floating here. He continues to float in battle, and I think he has float shoes. I don't think he has air shoes.
Still useful.
He might have it. I can't remember off the top of my head. But also, he just automatically hits whatever panels enemies are standing on with his charge up attack. And that battle chip in the bottom corner there is an elect sword attack, where he will dash up to enemies and give them a chop. So it's really strong and really good. Electman is, like, out of the Gregar Navis, he's easily the best Link Navi. But it's, you know, he also comes at kind of a nice time because, like, the game isn't over yet. But at the same time, like, you don't ever really need to use Link Navis that much, so it's a little bit wasted potential.
I mean, at least it's better than in previous games where you had to sacrifice a chip to bring out the Link Navi or the Cross, depending on what game it was. At least in this one, it's just always available for you in every battle if you need the option.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm also digging for Hyper Burst so that I can show it off on this guy.
Like, use it properly?
Yeah, properly use it, as opposed to just shooting it all the way into space. Or maybe we'll get the Corn Fiesta, who knows. But yeah, like, Tomahawk Man has some things going for him too. Like, I think he's the only Link Navi to have Status Guard, so I don't think he can get confused or blinded or have his controls reversed by, like, Timpani battle chips, or get stuck to the ground by, like, the Quaker viruses or anything. Like, Tomahawk Man just keeps going and doesn't stop. Meanwhile, Electman just sort of floats around a little bit, and he's got that going for him. It's pretty good. But yeah, let's take a look at Hyperburst. Let's see Hyperburst properly this time. What does it do? Well, it's got 60 power, and it's just a series of continuous explosions there. Each individual burst of it does damage, and if you've got enemies who, I don't know, maybe they're 2 squares wide, they end up taking a lot of extra damage from that attack. So, Hyperburst can be really good for crowd control. It also paralyzes when it hits. But So what Electman has to do here is he has to recharge things hanging out on the internet, which, like, I think they'd just be always on and always going. Why does he need to recharge them? Also, the cyber batteries that control the lighting on the internet need to be recharged. So we need to go recharge the batteries for the internet before something comes out and starts to grab us. Oh man, they just went out.
Typical.
So yeah, Electman scenario.
I mean, I just love the fact that he says, I'll do something. And he's so angsty about it.
Calm down, I'll do something. Like, you really get the sense that Electman is like this dude who's just kind of over it, and he's just like, alright, let's just do it. Come on. We got 3 more places to go before we can clock out for the day. But yeah, this is a stealth segment. But the nice thing about it is that random encounters don't show up during this, so you can just sort of take it as at your leisure as you wander around. Also, this guy's just like, hey, here's where the cyber batteries are. Feel free to go. Oh, look at him. There he is. That's our zombie we gotta avoid.
Yeah, he's certainly a fearsome looking guy.
But yeah, well, there's a cyber battery. Alright, so the view area is really small at this point, but you just sort of meander around Skytown. You've seen it many times in the past hour or so as you've been running back and forth across it, so you should know what it looks like. Every once in a while you find those buttons that turn on the lights for a short bit of time, but they're not that helpful because they rarely show you where batteries are in them. So you gotta just wander around and see what you can find. I can't believe I didn't try to leave as this was happening. I walked right past...
Just to see what they say?
Yeah, what happens if I walk past that exit there?
To see if the whole internet's dark or something?
Also, hey, look, here's another thing. That's not going to be... Oh, there's a battery. Alright, so I guess they do show you, but at the same time, it's just like... Well, you gotta check here anyway, because you gotta check every nook and cranny. Oh, look at that guy. He's going to block you if you don't, like, sneak past him as he's going back the other way. Oh, here's a guy walking in a square.
Nice move so far.
Yeah, this is a really goofy kind of encounter that's just like, do you remember what Skytown looks like? I also like how there's that guy who just moves fast compared to everyone else. Like, the Broken Mr. program is here. Everyone else is gone except for the guy who explains things. But, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of fun because you don't have to really focus on doing battles or anything, but at the same time, it's just like, this is it? Alright. Also, what's kind of nice is once we get the cyber batteries for an area, it just turns the light on a little bit. So, it's like you're standing on those panels permanently. Also, I thought that was a cutscene. It wasn't. I could move around just immediately after that as opposed to me just sitting there just being like, wait, what? It's over?
And then just walk into an enemy and immediately have to go into a battle? Yeah.
Yeah, but this view is kind of nice because we can see one elect battery up at the top there. That second one hanging out just underneath the platform there. So, you know, I guess I should give the lights more credit than I am, but nah.
I know people complain about stealth, but at least in this game, it's a break from just straight up virus busting.
Yeah, because there have been stealth segments in the past, like the one in the final dungeon for 3. I hate that one. I hate that one a lot. Do you even remember what it is?
I don't think so.
So, there are security bots that fly around on preset paths, and in some of the alleys, there's this goop that will swallow you up. So, you need to install a Navi Customizer part so you can see the goop, or just memorize it because you keep falling into it. And then you have to avoid the security drones as they're flying around. And some of them are really rough, like getting to the final boss before you can go to the final boss fight, like, because you refight at the end. It's a Mega Man tradition. That last boss fight there has just this long corridor that's like 2 tiles wide of security drones just floating back and forth on it, and they're not all... They might be synchronized, I don't think they are, and you get like halfway through and then you discover, oh, they're not synchronized and there's nothing I can do about this. And then you just get caught and you have to run it again. Like, maybe if you're a better gamer than I am and can react to that, but like, man, I do not like that dungeon at all. But
yeah,
this
the
is just
dungeon at the end of Mega Man Battle Network 3 was terrible. Having to go through that, and especially getting caught and having to go back and do it multiple times over and over again, Yeah, this seems like a much nicer stealth segment to have to go through than going through that. And I feel like they've done it a couple of other times to smaller extent in some of the final dungeons, trying to avoid stuff, but it doesn't really seem to work out. At least here they're making an effort to make it a little bit shorter since it's just a scenario.
Also, did you just see that where I slipped right past the zombie by hugging the wall?
Yeah, very smooth moves.
Man, I am giving these guys way too much credit as I'm going around here. But yeah, like, compared to that, this is just like a fun little zombie romp in the dark. It's kind of fun. I also like, it's like, wait, we're not going to just charge it there? And Electman's like, don't be an idiot!
Yeah, come on.
I also like how he's just like, we need a super enhanced recharger to make this work. And it's just like, oh, well, okay, I guess we can recharge the batteries like this, but it's like, it's funny to me that Lan's just like, well, you're an electric Davy, you could just recharge the batteries, right? And the Electman's like, no, are you stupid? Like, compared to, like, the last time we saw Count Zap was in Mega Man Battle Chip Challenge, where every time you refight him, he's like, okay, we're going to try 1,000,000 volts! And then he loses, and it's like, that didn't cut it. He comes back next time, what about 2,000,000? But, yeah, the Electman boss fight here is kind of reminiscent of his Battle Network 1 incarnation, where he can make lightning strike the floor, and then he can also shoot lightning forward. What's changed between that fight and this one, I think, is he also used to have, like, these electrical conduits in your area that would move around, but now what happens is if he shoots them with the electricity from his fingertips, it'll, like, arc out perpendicularly. So if he shot lightning from his top row up there, he'd be able to, yeah, just like that, he can hit the column it's on as well. So Electman can be kind of an interesting boss fight, but with all of the delays in all of his attacks, it feels really fair to give you enough time to figure out where you need to go to get out of the area of effect for it. And it's also nice that it sort of complicates the battle as it goes forward by adding, here are the power coils that make your life a little more difficult.
More to learn.
But yeah, Mrs. Zapp recognizes that we're the one who ruined her husband's life, but she still sort of forgives us for it and allows us the Elect Cross. So,
yay.
We gotta go up to the top, but the elevator's broken. Well, we saw a compound with elevator control stuff in it. Let's go fix it.
Yeah, this seems like, you never want to take the elevator when there's some sort of emergency, take the stairs in case of a fire. I don't know how much I would trust taking the elevator up into Skytown when there's currently all this weather haywire nonsense going on. That just sounds like a bad idea.
Yep.
Also, what is their plan for if things really go bad in Skytown, or just in general, if any sort of natural disaster or calamity happened? Like, are there, emergency parachutes for everyone on board? Like, what is the plan if something goes wrong here?
Yep.
Just not very well thought out.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the security camera joke you told last episode, right? Where you used to be able to walk into a store with $1 and walk out with all these things, but now you can't do that because security cameras. So, yeah. Also, I like how you just have to wander away, jack in, jack out, and then they tell you about what Electros does. Plus 50 on electric attacks isn't that much because there aren't that many multi-hit attacks, and electric attacks are kind of weak. But electric attacks have the inherent ability to, like, stun enemies for long periods of time. At least a lot of them do. So that goes a little bit further than you think it would. And in addition to that, if you charge up normal element battle chips, it allows you to stun enemies. So, like, Electros is all about just stunning enemies for long periods of time, and that can be really good if you're, like, competitive net battling or something like that. But if you're just sort of playing the game, it takes a really long time to charge up, and it's not entirely worth it.
Yeah.
I also like how he's just able to just snap his fingers, turn these all on. I need to finish my work before he gets here, and then he walks towards land. There's nowhere else he can be, and then it'll fade back up, and we'll walk right past where he should have been. He's just gone. Don't know how that happened.
I guess Lan was so distracted by all the fabulous weather machines turning on in front of him, he just let the guy slip right past.
Ooh, here's a blower. Anyway, yeah, I put off looking through all these because, I felt like this would be a more appropriate time to jack in and sort of explore what's going on here. It's also one of the other things I also find kind of fun is like as we're doing this, in order to sort of get our commentary like in sync for when one person stops talking, we're looking at video of each other, and I can just see Parrish's cat's tail just wander up into frame, and I'm just like, yeah, I like that.
He's a good boy.
Like, I've had some Zoom training these past couple weeks, or training through Zoom, and, like, part of the fun of it is to just see a cat in the background just sort of appear and just be like, yeah.
I remember seeing something on Twitter where someone was talking about, their company doing Zoom meetings and someone apologizing for their, pet jumping into the frame, and the tweet said something like, "Don't you dare apologize for that. This is the best thing that's happened all meeting. Like, tell me his name and everything about him right now."
Yep. Yeah. One of the other things that... So here we're digging for the Corn Fiesta program advance. We gotta find it. But one of the interesting things about this battlefield is the one-way road tiles in this battle in some ways make it a little easier to dodge, but also complicate it. Like, the one on the top there pushes you the wrong direction to dodge out of the machine gun fire, but the bottom one can sort of skip you through it once it's already been in place. So I think that's kind of interesting how, like, the road tiles sort of complicate things, but just a little bit. Also there, I show off that the Spoutman battle chip does different things depending upon where you're standing in the field. If you're in your back two columns, it'll create the big faucet that does, like, 3 hits. But if you're just standing in your front row... Also, the Corn Fiesta doesn't have time to show what it can do, but the Corn Fiesta hits many times over a large area randomly as it just sort of bounces and explodes around. It's really useful for creating a lot of grass panels in enemy area, but at the same time, it's really unreliable. So, it's fun. It's a Fiesta, but it's not, like, the best program advance. It's very niche. The other thing to note about the going road and the coming road is that they time out after a certain period of time and just kind of going away, leaving the battlefield neutral. And, like, you can't really see that unless you sit around for a very long period of time, but, kind of nice to see. Also, it's finally time to put in probably, like, the most iconic program advance of the entire series into my folder. It's time for Life Sword, baby.
I'm honestly surprised that you haven't had Life Sword in your folder or haven't shown it off before now, honestly.
Yeah, I was saving it because, like, it's sort of a staple in this game because you get Sword Star, Wide Sword Star, and Long Sword Star. So you can just, like, throw them into any folder, and it's really easy to just show it off. So I was sort of waiting my time on that one.
Fair.
Also, it took me a while to, like, get it in the code I wanted with the star.
I think you had some of them at some point, but yeah, might as well make it fit your folder.
But yeah, Life Sword is a really strong program advance, and since it's in the star code, like, it can be splashed into any folder that you could ever wish it to be in. Life Sword first appeared in Mega Man Battle Network 2. In the first Battle Network game, they had, like, Sigma Sword and Beta Sword and Zeta Sword, where you would just get a series of swords, wide swords, and long swords to use, which, like, is very bad in comparison to what the Life Sword program advance was. But then in Battle Network 3, they were just like, you know what? You throw the sword, the wide sword, the long sword together, it's a big, huge sword. We're going to call it the Life Sword. That sounds really cool, right? We'll name it after an attack that the final boss of the first game had. I also like how I had to go back in to pick up all the mystery data I missed because I didn't get it the first time around, and they automatically jack you out after you finish the special battle. But then in Battle Network 2, the other thing they did is they had levels where it's like, yeah, we've always had Fire Sword, Aqua Sword, and Elect Sword, but what if they could combine into a Life Sword as well? And then the game designers were like, oh man, what if there was a third one? What if we invented blades? Ooh. And then they could make Life Sword 3, which did 600 damage, and it also came in the star code, but also, look at the fan there. It just sort of sucks you into the front. It doesn't do anything, it's not threatening to you, but here's the fan.
Yeah, they're definitely not threatening viruses when they're by themselves, but they can certainly be annoying when paired with other viruses for moving you around the battlefield. Kind of like the Timpani virus. Sometimes it's easier to prioritize them just so you don't get hassled.
Yep. The fan virus was introduced in Battle Network 2 alongside the Windbox virus, and, like, together they sort of pair with enemies that control where you need to be in specific rows to do damage. And they're they can be useful for that area denial, but at the same time, like, the fans don't have that much HP at this point, so we can just kind of burn through them quick if we're really looking to do it. Yeah. One of the other things that I think is really funny is that there's a rare version of the wind box and the fan, and it's just, like, there's one for every virus type, but it just tickles me that there's a special virus to give you, like, the wind and the fan chips, even though, like, you get wind and fan star, and then you don't need anything else from them, and you can acquire them without fighting these guys. It's just really funny to me.
Yeah, unlike any of the other viruses that get, more advanced forms as it comes along, the only thing that changes with the later wind boxes or fans would be more HP. So it's just slightly more of an annoyance to have to take them down while dodging other attacks on the battlefield. But other than taking longer to kill, they don't really add any other difficulty or challenge to an encounter with them.
Yep. I also like how the wind box sort of combines with the poison panels and the ice panels in that encounter, where it pushes you into the back row where you'll always sort of walk into the poison. If you try to walk forward out of it, you either, like, walk into the middle column and get kind of blown back, or you walk into the ice panel, go all the way to the front, and then immediately get blown back.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like how they incorporated the wind box into, like, the tough battle here, because the bubbles from the starfish will sort of curve around the backside of your area, so they will hit you unless you are hanging out in front of the starfish shooting down all of the bubbles. But then the piranha will move behind the starfish and throw out the cursor to get you to, like, move out from in front there, and then you'll just get blown back into the bubbles and take a bunch of damage. So that's a very smartly designed encounter. Also, hello, look at this man.
He looks normal.
I've got rare stuff that lets you call animals. Do you like animals?
Yeah.
By the way, if you want more rush food, come back and buy some more. But yeah, the rush food is a unique item to this game, where you can walk to special spots on the internet that haven't been marked until you get your hands on some rush food. But then you walk there and you're like, oh hey, there's a bone marking. I can throw rush food here. Or, oh hey, there's rush food markings over there. And they create little shortcuts throughout areas that can, like, save you time as you're just sort of running around the internet, and they're very helpful and useful. And yeah, good job to Rush Food for helping you create shortcuts through areas that designers otherwise intend you to go for long periods of time through.
Yeah, I never really paid attention much to the Rush Food stuff, and then when I finally started picking it up, I noticed the paths to get to floating islands.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really nice having those shortcuts so that you don't have to do a ton of backtracking when you're trying to just run around the net to find gold mystery data or something.
Yep. They were called pop-ups back in the day, but then when they did, I know the anime had it labeled as Rush when it was around there, and I think I've never used, like, the Navi customizer parts for Rush, Beat, and Tango, but it might be the same Rush that shows up when you use that battle chip as well. But they used to be viruses, then they sort of wandered into the background, and it's kind of good to see Rush again. Also, 3 puffies. I bet if I hit them all at once, things could get really hectic with all the needles flying around. Let's try not to have that happen.
Yeah, probably not for the best.
It's one of the nice things about Electcross is that you can pretty easily, like, handle water viruses like this, but at the same time, like, that's still a difficult encounter, and I still got to the point where I was running around to not get hit with all the needles.
Yeah, definitely didn't look like a good time, but it's always nice whenever you have the crosses that really power up your charge attack, so you have some sort of options while you're waiting for the chip selection custom screen to pop back up again, I guess.
I think I might have been willing to, like, also just, like, let's show how things can get hectic really quick here with just one of them here after they've been hit once. And beyond that, I might have also been contemplating, like, what if I just shoot him another time so that we can get 3 needles and really show that it's not good. I also like how Lan's first instinct is, yo, wait, Iris, and then something just comes up to just stop him cold. He's just like, but Iris, and it's like, yo, you gotta see what's going on there, my man. You remember the last time something was stuck in a locker? It was really good for us.
Oh, Mick probably shoved that poor guy into the locker.
Yeah, maybe, like, so that Navi was walking around. That was a copy bot, right? Did he, like, lock that Navi in the locker here where it's, like, running out of battery, just smacking on the inside, just like that other security bot was? But yeah, we finally get the explanation for how this place flies. There's something called the Force Program that's able to keep it up in space here, and somebody's stealing the Force Program and going to cause it to crash. But my question is, like, how does a computer program replace all of the, like the rocket fuel that you need? Like, do they need the Force Program to synthesize it? How does this work? Also, hey, there's just a copy bot here. Like, it makes sense because the Navi, the blue Navi that was running everything needed a copy bot up here. But at the same time, like, was that copy bot there, like, the first time that cutscene rolled?
I don't remember one being there, no.
I don't think it was. Like, I was too busy cracking jokes to, like, pay attention, but at the same time, I remember watching the video and Iris just walks past nothing to get in there.
Yep.
I also like how Lan's just like, we're going to jump this gap. Like, he's not going to dangle himself off the other side and drop that way. He's going to jump this way.
YOLO.
And immediately chickens out.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking earlier about the Force Program keeping Skytown aloft, and I didn't really ever interpret that when I was playing through the game as the Force Program literally providing the energy to keep it up in the air, like replacing the jet fuel or whatnot. I thought it was just managing all the data to stabilize the platform, deal with air currents and the like, but I thought you can still see the thrusters and everything. So this is the far future, so they could be using like fusion or something, but
the Force Program,
you get what I mean.
The Force Program is an energy management program. So, like, it's probably intended to be used in, like, extreme cases where you've got a lot of power flowing around, which, you need special hardware and software to be able to handle, like, oh, we've got, like, 0 dB of our signal going through here, and all of a sudden, well, we're up at 150! So, it's probably specialized and really well set up to do this. I also like how we had to go somewhere higher. I wonder if I can sort of float down. Well, it's not the entire 30,000 feet, but we've got some stuff to do this. I also like how they made these sprites for it. For Lan just running over and jumping down, even though, like, they totally didn't have to and totally didn't do this sort of thing in the past when they needed to, like, put in effort. But it's really nice for this thing that only shows up once to see all of these unique sprites for this thing.
Yeah, in previous games in the series, they probably just would have cut to black, had a dialogue box, and then showed Lan on the other side of the gap next to Mega Man or something.
Or, well, it depends on the game. Because if this were Battle Network 4, like, I could imagine, like, Lan, like, running up to the edge, and then, like, his feet just stop moving, and he's just standing up like a plank as he just sort of slips off the edge to drop into Mega Man's hands.
Or just cut to black and then he's there.
Yeah, I'm just like, yo, scientist, do you have anything to say that's new? No? Alright, well, have a nice one, bro.
Bye.
Like, I get that he has to be here because you're stuck here, and you won't have any way to heal yourself out of battle unless you talk to him and get the full energies that he sells. But at the same time, it's really funny that he has nothing to say about what's going on. Also, look at this dude who's just standing on the computer here. He's just standing on the keyboard trying to stop us.
How rude.
I also like how he's going straight to, I know you're a fake admin building person, and then he's just like, fine, I'll take the disguise off. Like, no, keep it on, my dude.
I think it's weird that he can just change his costume immediately. Also, like, it disappears in a puff of smoke, and then he's suddenly just standing there wearing completely different clothes.
Yeah, like
what are you, a ninja?
Yeah, right? Like, he doesn't have anything that suggests he's a ninja to me. Like, he's got these big green pants, it kind of looks like. He's got these thick boots, and he's got this long overcoat. Like, what's this guy's occupation? Also, I like seeing all the noises here from Element Man. He's just like, curses! God, these two are just kind of like a weird joke and how they have these strange, unexplained powers, and he does just the dumbest stuff, and then Element Man just can't even speak. speak, so they have to give you translations for him. Oh, it's all really fun. But this episode has reached its end. Thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a nice day.
See ya.
Actually, I forgot that I walked over and talked to him because he's just standing there, taunting me.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man, what a weird dude.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you have the option, why not?
But yeah, next time, Mr. Weather Compound.